Whatever.
Jimmy Butler, Devin.
Jimmy Buckets, man.
What comes to mind when I say that name, Jimmy Butler?
Coffee.
Coffee. Why is that?
He has a coffee company.
Does he?
Huh?
I mean, I'm always on a coffee during the pod. I might need to try it. I feel like
that ginger girl from ESPN. That's what I think of.
Oh, you
Rachel
think okay.
Rachel Nichols, I think her name is.
You might be onto something. But Jimmy Butler, suspended indefinitely. It's over.
Indefinitely.
We knew it was over between him and Miami. But now it's like it's really.
Now, question. You think he gets traded?
All right.
Or do you think they pull the pettiest of petty cards and they hold on to this motherfucker all year and they continue to suspend him? Or just just suspend him for the rest of the year? Indefinite could mean forever.
From what I've seen, what if I told you that Jimmy could pull an even pettier move?
What's that?
And opt in to his contract, and Miami is going to have to pay him another $50 million next year.
Oh.
And he goes, all right.
Can't they cut him?
They still have to pay him. It's fully guaranteed.
Oh.
This is the NBA.
The NBA is fully guaranteed?
I'm pretty sure the NBA is fully... Have you ever seen an NBA player get signed and then been told how much is guaranteed?
No.
Okay. It's fully guaranteed.
Yeah, no, I've never seen like a Steph Curry contract and they're like, yeah.
No, yeah, because it's fully guaranteed.
200 guaranteed.
And like that's kind of the reason why they're not trading him. Like, okay, all right. The same reason they're not going to cut him is the same reason why they haven't traded him yet. It's because that they want to get something out of it if they're going to lose him.
Of course.
So obviously they're not just going to cut him. But
they should trade him then.
Now, from what I've seen, there's a couple options. Because before yesterday, it was Phoenix or nothing.
Sure.
He said, and then it got to a point where he said he would go anywhere but Memphis, which I don't know why. What's up with him in Memphis? I really don't get
Memphis or Minnesota?
Memphis. I don't
but he'll
understand
go to
why
Minnesota?
I don't know about Minnesota, but one of his former teams, apparently, there's reports of interest from Philly. There's reports of interest.
That to me makes sense. And I think with him, if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure he enjoyed his time in Philly. Or in that run.
It was definitely not as bad as like Minnesota.
No, it wasn't as bad as Minnesota.
From what I've seen.
Did he go Chicago to Minnesota?
It was Chicago, Minnesota, yeah, and then Philly, Miami. It's so the top three teams. You got Phoenix, obviously still in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Philly, and then Golden State's back in the conversation. The reason being is I think it's gotten to a point, and I mean, even reports are saying that Miami's asking price has dropped.
Really?
I mean, well,
I guess it has to.
We're getting to the trade
deadline.
Otherwise,
they're going to get nothing out of him, and yeah, you're right. Have to pay him $50 million.
And from what I've seen, so there's this bro Sam Quinn 6 possible outcomes after his indefinite suspension. So he could get traded to the Suns, which we talked about. And see, there's a lot of news going around though. So Bradley Beal, apparently there was conversations with Phoenix and Chicago for a LaVine-Beal trade that Beal shut down because of his non-trade clause.
Sure.
So he's willing to go to Miami, but he's not willing to go to Chicago. So we know that. So him being willing, him already coming out and saying he'd be willing to, bypass or whatever the word I'm looking for, the no trade clause. I guess it is a good sign for Phoenix, and if they think they could get Jimmy Butler. Now this obviously path to he could get traded to another team by February 6th, and that's where Philly and Golden State come in. Now there's two different problems with him going to Philly and or Golden State. Golden State, so Philly, right?
Yeah.
For some reason, there's conversations surrounding Paul George.
Leave him?
Well, Paul George being traded for Jimmy Butler. Now, in my eyes, you just made the move for Paul George.
Yeah.
Making the swap, I don't know. Like, I get it. the I don't know, NBA fans probably would just take Jimmy over Paul George in terms of like who they liked more. But if we're gonna be
Sure,
real,
it's a
like
lateral move.
Paul
No,
George is better than Jimmy Butler. Paul George has a deeper offensive bag.
yeah,
He's a
but I
two
mean,
way. He's still 2 way. I mean, he's Paul George is better. I love
in
Jimmy.
terms of
PG is
production,
better.
at best, you're getting an equal product.
Sure, I'm. You should at best maybe on Jimmy's level. Like maybe at best,
No,
Jimmy
no,
could
I'm
could
saying that
match Paul
Jimmy,
George.
if you trade for them, Philly gets at best an equal to Paul George.
I don't know. I we haven't seen Paul. Like okay, if Paul George doesn't go through all these different teams and just stays the number one option, I think he could possibly pull off some shit Jimmy's been able to pull off, especially
Potentially,
in the East. I
for
mean,
sure.
I don't know. Like I said, the Paul George, the people love this shit on him, and people love Jimmy Butler, but I'm not gonna play stupid. When it comes to just a better player, I mean, it's Paul George. There's a reason why they made the move for Paul George. There's a reason why they paid Paul George, um, and giving him up for a player that has left already before. I mean, it's just I don't know. It's to me that's a no to me. That's a
Yeah,
no to me
yeah.
because and it's also to me I look at it the same way for with like Beal. It's like all right, it's more better for Miami because you don't know what the fuck you're gonna get from Jimmy.
No, agreed.
In Jimmy's eyes, from in Jimmy's words, he says whatever team he gets traded to, he wants to sign an extension and retire with. Okay.
He wants to sign like immediately,
Well, he wants to sign an extension because he's got 1 year left, so he wants to be extended.
and then retire with that
That's where
team.
we got the whole Shaq and Kenny. Well, this is where it
Yeah,
all
but
stemmed from.
he's getting traded. He's not picking this team.
But this all stemmed from Miami not giving him an extension.
Yeah.
So he wanted to now he wants to leave. What are you confused about?
Well, I'm confused because he's. I mean, he can become a free agent after getting traded this year. After the end of this year, he can become a
Mm-hmm.
free agent, find a team that he would want to go to that would want to pay him rather than
You're right.
whatever
I'm
team
just
he
saying
gets traded to.
this is what he said. Now,
Yeah, I mean,
I
I
don't
wouldn't
know.
hate the move. I kind of would like the move to Golden State, but the problem is that you're giving up your
Way more.
future.
You got to give up way more in Golden
You're
State.
giving up your future, but at the same time, it's like this is Steph is going to retire a Warrior. You're getting toward the end of Steph's career. Um, Steph doesn't want to play on a losing team, which they're somewhere in the middle of the pack right now. I'm not sure exactly where. Um, but you'd have to give up a Kuminga and maybe someone else and picks
But
or whatever the fuck.
you're not moving me when you say, we're gonna give Golden State Jimmy Butler for 3 or 4 guys in their rotation.
Agreed.
Like that's not
Doesn't sound like
when
much
we
of an
first
improvement.
started talking about like Jimmy Butler being a on the trading block. That's beautiful. That's a bunch of
Mm.
conversations we can have. There's a bunch of narratives that can be pushed. But in terms of the options and teams he can land at, and this year in particular, I don't think he makes many teams a contender.
No.
And it's definitely not Golden State. I don't think a swap for Paul George is the answer.
No.
Phoenix, it's the best shot. And it's
And with
solely.
Phoenix, it's like how much more production you get than a Bradley Beal?
Well, you're getting. Okay. Let's see.
Different play style,
You are going to get I mean, the defensive side of the ball, so the
of course.
the 2-way game. B, a obviously a demand for touches. I don't think as much as Bradley Beal maybe expected to have because you got to think we're at the point where he's getting benched because of animosity in the locker room, and
Sure.
KD felt delegated to the corner and all this other shit. It's
And
like
that was last year. It still hasn't changed.
so Jimmy's not like if he wants to go to Phoenix this bad. Okay, let's be real. Let's not play stupid. he's obviously had fucking conversations with KD and Book and all
Of
this. And
course.
like, what I'm saying is, there's no way he's going in there expecting to be the number one.
He better not be.
There's no way he's like, man, I just need to go to Phoenix. I can go in
That
there and
ego can.
I can just
His
carry
ego can go
KD and Book.
crazy.
But he's not stupid.
He liked being the number one in Miami.
But Jimmy's not stupid.
No.
Like, he's not stupid, and I do think he knows. I mean, the whole this before the extension, it was like, bro, can y'all get me some damn pieces in Miami? And
Yeah.
and when he was with Philly, he
Well,
knew.
honestly, I think that's the bigger thing. It's like, nah, Jimmy could have actually done shit, and the fact that he was able to do so much more than that team could actually produce, and then now he's getting shit on. I mean, I get where Jimmy's at.
and and Jimmy knew who Joel was.
Of
Like
course.
he knew what he was to in terms of how he stacked up to Joel on the 76ers. And
Yeah.
I think the more and more I hear that story about Minnesota, I feel like it was more of him being pissed the fuck off that Cat wasn't like, or someone like if we're using a player for example, like
Yeah.
he probably looked at Cat like, bro, you could be doing all this shit
Exactly.
and you're like the biggest bitch. Like I can't stand y'all. Like I feel like there's almost a part of him where it's like, golly, like y'all are way better, but now I just gotta sit here and
y'all are
bitch. I
bums.
gotta bitch all y'all out for y'all to open your eyes.
Yeah.
And I think if he goes to Phoenix, he knows
And then
his
Cat's
role.
like, man, that was crazy when Jimmy came in.
He knows his role if he goes to Phoenix. I would hope so.
Yeah. I mean, I would imagine that he's still going to want
But
some control,
but with Golden State, it says they have a different problem. The Warriors don't have a single large salary player to send out for Butler. They would have to match money by cobbling several players. So they said Andrew Wiggins would be the biggest matching salary, and then they would probably have to throw in mid-sized salaries like Buddy Hield, Kyle Anderson, and Kevon Looney.
Yeah.
We're throwing in ands around here. We're not throwing in ors. We're throwing in ands.
We're throwing ands.
We're talking
three or
four guys for Jimmy Butler. 35-year-old Jimmy Butler, bro.
Not a chance.
Like, I don't know.
I mean, I think that I'm wrong on the Golden State move. I forgot that they would have to give up everything.
Yeah, it's ideal. It's ideal if he's not making all this damn money.
But I mean, I'm gonna be honest. Yeah, well, that's fair. Like it's not a bad move if you can keep some of those pieces in Golden State and throw in Jimmy. But I think that Jimmy can provide more than Bradley Beal, but also give that team a different dynamic. Because I mean, on paper, that could be one of the greatest teams of the decade. And it should be.
It could be, yeah.
Even this team right now with Bradley Beal could be one of the teams of the decade.
It
and
should
instead
be.
they're a mid-level fucking close to bottom of the barrel team. I don't know. Not bottom of the barrel, but they're nowhere near their potential. And
you got three guys who can go out and average 30.
35 if you want to.
If they really want to.
If you really wanted to, they could average 30. But
that's the thing. You pull one of those guys out and throw in one that can average 22 and then play really, really, really good defense.
I think Jimmy can.
Bradley Beal.
I think Jimmy can give a different dynamic to this team and maybe run this team differently. And if he has to take a primary role, not in terms of scoring, but in terms of who leads this team, I think this team needs a leader. Same way they did when they brought in CP3. They needed a leader. They had a young team and whatever, but they might need something.
And Dallas waited too long. They waited till Clay started hitting fucking threes, and they were like, "Oh, well, we can't."
How many threes did he hit in that game? He hit 7 in the first quarter, and I didn't see anything after that.
It was 7.
So he didn't.
I don't.
He didn't break his own record.
No, he did, which is crazy.
It's 14, I think, right? 13 or 14.
Is it? I don't know. That's a good question.
Because Steph had it for a while. It was 12.
We're NBA casuals.
Yeah, but that was back when I watched NBA.
Back prime.
That was when that shit was cool. Dude.
Prime NBA viewership. Yeah, absolutely.
But what's crazy to me is like it's such like a consensus, Like obviously you have your NBA diehards, but when you talk about just like a regular sports watching fan, they're like, yeah, NBA's fucking hardcore falling off.
Well, no, the number one thing that is said about basketball, period, is yeah, I mean, it's like interesting the last 2 minutes.
Yeah. Or
That's
in the
how
playoffs.
everybody words it. If there weren't all these narratives being pushed and all of this, well, okay, obviously it's like no, like there's people dedicated to this every single day, and they wake
Of
up and
course.
they're on TV talking about it. So there are diehard fans, but it's just in terms of sitting down and watching an entire basketball game.
It's pretty tough.
You know, you that's the thing. It's like did Clay break his record? I don't know because I didn't watch a
I mean,
full
I'm
Dallas
assuming
Mavericks
that's how
game.
most fans kind of take in basketball content,
Yeah, I mean I'm not watching,
clips and
and it's
headlines and
also,
shit.
I mean it's bro, it's 82 fucking games every single day. If they wanted to set aside one day and let me sit there on YouTube TV and watch all of them at once,
Sure.
bro, okay, cool, I could do that just how I do with NFL, but it ain't that. They don't.
No.
It ain't that, Devin.